Hey everyone and welcome back. You know I love a good deep dive, and the source material you sent over this time is incredible. An interview with Daniel Priestley, you know,
Yeah.
entrepreneur extraordinaire. Built a multi-million dollar business by the time he was 23. Seriously, 23.
Yeah.
I think I was still trying to figure out how to do laundry back then.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive. And what I find interesting is that his path to success wasn't exactly traditional, you
Yeah,
know? It wasn't the go to college, get a degree, climb the corporate ladder kind of story.
right. Definitely not your average entrepreneur. He
Yeah.
actually dropped out of university.
Yeah.
Dove headfirst into the startup world at 19. Must have been a whirlwind.
Oh, absolutely. And talk about a crash course in business. The startup he joined went from 0 to $6 million in just 2 years.
Whoa, that's insane growth.
Right. He was thrown right into the deep end, learning at revenue, profit margins, team dynamics, the whole 9 yards.
Talk about trial by fire. But even with that success, it was his mentor's advice that really pushed him to become an entrepreneur himself. He actually went to the founder and asked for equity. And the founder basically said, if you want equity, start your own business.
Wow. That's pretty bold. But it obviously had a huge impact on Priestley. He took that advice to heart, replicated their business model, and launched his own venture at just 21.
21. It's amazing. I mean, it really shows that sometimes the best way to learn is just by doing it yourself. So what was this first business all about? I know a lot of our listeners are always curious about how to actually get a business off the ground.
Well, his first business focused on something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with.
Lead generation.
Lead generation.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of us who aren't, business whizzes, break that down for us a bit. What exactly does that mean, and why is it so important? It's all about attracting potential customers, the people who are genuinely interested in what you offer, like setting up a powerful magnet for your business. But you don't want just anyone. You want the right customers, the ones who are most likely to become loyal paying clients.
So it's about attracting the right people
Yeah.
rather than just anyone and everyone. Gotcha. But what would that look like in practice? Do you have an example from Priestley's experience?
Sure. He actually partnered with a franchisor to generate leads. And instead of trying to stand out at a massive, crowded franchise expo, they organized smaller, more focused roadshow events. These events provided valuable information about the franchise opportunity. Think of it like an exclusive sneak peek.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so they weren't just selling, they were educating and building relationships, which resulted in highly qualified leads.
That makes a lot of sense. So he essentially created a system to solve a specific problem for this franchisor. He provided value up front, and in turn, that generated leads for the business. It seems like a win-win.
Exactly. And, his company earned a percentage of the franchise success fees. It just proves that focusing on a market need rather than just promoting a business can be incredibly effective.
Yeah, really smart approach. It's a really cool example. And it makes lead generation seem a lot less intimidating. It's definitely something any business can apply, right?
Absolutely. Most businesses, regardless of what they offer, they rely on that steady flow of leads to thrive.
Yeah, it's like the lifeblood of a successful venture.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that not all businesses are created equal, especially when it comes to their growth trajectory.
Now that brings up something I was curious about.
Hmm.
Priestley achieved incredible success so quickly. Does that mean every entrepreneurial venture requires that same level of rapid growth? Because it can feel discouraging if you're not a millionaire by 25.
That's a really great question, and it's actually something Priestley addresses directly. He emphasizes that not all business models require years of upfront investment or follow that same path to success. He uses this concept of J-curve versus non-J-curve businesses to kind of illustrate those different growth patterns.
Okay, J-curve versus non-J-curve. I'm intrigued. What's the difference?
So a J-curve business is like planting a seed. It takes time to sprout and grow. You typically lose money initially, that's the investment phase. Before you start seeing significant revenue, it's like that dip in the J-curve before it swings upward.
Gotcha. So like tech startups or restaurants.
Yeah, exactly. You might pour a ton of money into development or set up costs before you even become profitable.
Right, is that classic image of the startup founder working out of their garage, burning through savings while they're trying to get their big idea off the ground.
Exactly. Now, non-J-curve businesses, they're more like harvesting fruit from a tree that's already mature. They can be profitable from day one because they often involve a sales process and a higher value per sale.
So things like consulting or specialized services, where you already have that expertise up front and you can command a higher fee right away.
Precisely. Let's say you're a consultant helping businesses streamline their operations. You land a single client who pays you a significant amount. And with relatively low overhead costs, you're already in the black. No need to wait years for that J-curve to swing upwards.
That's a really important distinction for our listeners to understand. It means you can choose a business model that aligns with your risk tolerance and financial situation. You don't have to go all in on a risky venture if that's not your style.
Absolutely. And it ties into another point that Priestley makes about shifting from a freelancer mindset to an entrepreneurial one.
Oh, interesting.
He argues that freelancers often limit themselves by selling their labor. They face all the downsides of a business without the upsides.
Right. It's that classic struggle of the freelancer. You're constantly hustling for the next gig, never quite able to break free from that cycle of trading hours for dollars.
Exactly. And Priestley challenges us to think bigger, to think about outcomes rather than just tasks. He uses this term, key person of influence, to describe this shift in mindset.
Okay. Key person of influence. Now that sounds intriguing. What exactly does that mean? How do you become one?
Well, think of it as someone who has a strong personal brand, a loyal audience, and a reputation for delivering exceptional value. They're thought leaders, innovators, connectors.
So it's about building a brand that goes beyond just you as an individual. You're creating something bigger than yourself, something that people recognize and trust.
Precisely. Let's go back to that freelance writer example. Instead of just churning out articles for various clients, they could build a writing agency, create online courses, or develop licensable content. They're leveraging their expertise to create multiple streams of income and establish themselves as a key person of influence in their niche.
It's like working smarter, not harder. You're creating systems and assets that work for you, even when you're not actively working on them.
Right. Now, one of the most fascinating parts of Priestley's story is the unconventional advice he received from his mentor about money.
Oh, yeah. This is where things get interesting. He actually struggled with money early on,
I
right?
did. He was broke in university, juggling multiple jobs just to make ends meet. And his mentor, recognizing that Priestley had some deep-seated beliefs about money holding him back, gave him this rather unusual challenge.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What was the challenge?
He told Priestley to carry a large sum of cash, like $1,000, in his pocket at all times.
$1,000. Wow, okay. I get that mentors sometimes give out their advice, but that seems extreme. What was the point of that?
It wasn't about showing off or becoming a big spender. It was a psychological exercise to shift his mindset about money, to confront those limiting beliefs about scarcity and fear that we often hold subconsciously.
You know, I think a lot of us can relate to that. Even if we haven't been given the carry a wad of cash challenge, that feeling of scarcity, like there's never enough, can be so pervasive.
Absolutely. And Priestley talks about how this exercise forced him to confront his own anxieties about money. He realized he was afraid of being judged, attacked, or taken advantage of if people knew he had money.
It's like those limiting beliefs were lurking beneath the surface, and carrying that cash brought them to the forefront.
Exactly. And by confronting those fears head on, he was able to shift his perspective and approach money with more confidence and abundance.
I bet that was a game changer for him.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what are our own beliefs about money? Are they helping us or are they holding us back?
That's a great question. We all have those internal scripts about money, often formed from childhood experiences or societal messages.
Yeah, so true.
But shifting gears a bit,
Right.
I'm also curious about something else Priestley mentioned, the power of oversubscription and urgency in driving sales.
Isn't that a bit manipulative?
It can be if it's done unethically, but Priestley emphasizes the importance of genuine value and transparency. It's not about creating false scarcity or pressuring people into making decisions they're not comfortable with.
Okay, so it's more about tapping into human psychology in an ethical way. How does that work?
Well, think about it. We humans are masters of procrastination. We tend to put things off, especially when it comes to making decisions that involve spending money or taking risks.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right, we all do it, but creating a sense of urgency can help overcome that inertia. We're more likely to take action when we feel like we might miss out on something valuable, or if there's a limited time opportunity.
Like those limited time offer sales or exclusive product launches.
Exactly, and it goes beyond just products. Think about popular restaurants with long lines, or those exclusive events that everyone wants to attend. That scarcity combined with social proof, it increases desirability.
So it's about creating that buzz, that feeling of, if I don't act now, I'm going to miss out.
And Priestley actually used this strategy early on with his med school courses. He deliberately booked smaller venues, creating a sense of scarcity and the perception that if you didn't sign up quickly, you'd miss out.
That's pretty clever. But how do you create that sense of urgency ethically? I don't want to come across as pushy or manipulative.
It's all about being transparent and ensuring that the urgency is genuine. If you have limited spots available for a workshop or a coaching program, be upfront about that. Explain why there's a deadline or a limited number of participants. It's about creating a win-win situation where the customer feels like they're getting something exclusive and valuable, and you're able to fill your program or sell your product.
So it's about creating a sense of excitement and exclusivity without resorting to shady tactics or pressure tactics.
Yeah.
I like that. It feels a lot more authentic and respectful.
Exactly. It's about building trust and fostering long-term relationships with your customers.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a delicate balance there. But when done right, it can be a powerful tool for any entrepreneur. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Unconventional career paths, lead generation J-curves, key people of influence money mindset. We even got into some psychology. It's amazing how all these pieces fit together.
It is, and I think what really ties it all together is this underlying theme of providing value-solving problems and building something sustainable. It's not just about making a quick buck. It's about creating something that makes a real impact and stands the test of time.
I love that. It's about leaving your mark on the world. But before we wrap up, I have to ask about one piece of advice that really threw me for a loop. Priestley mentioned that his mentor told him to tune out the news. I mean, seriously, in this day and age.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the idea is to protect your mindset and focus on the positive. The news cycle can be a constant barrage of negativity and fear. And for an entrepreneur who's already taking risks and facing uncertainty, that can be incredibly draining.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to build this positive, optimistic vision for your business, and then you turn on the news and it's all doom and gloom.
Exactly. And Priestley argues that we live in a time of incredible opportunity, especially for entrepreneurs. He calls it the entrepreneurial revolution, where the rules of the game have changed.
Okay, so instead of getting bogged down by all the things that could go wrong, focus on the possibilities, the potential for positive change.
Right. It's about choosing to see the glass half full even when the world feels chaotic.
I like that.
Yeah.
So let's bring it all home. What are the key takeaways for our listeners? What are the things they should walk away with today?
I think the most important takeaway is that entrepreneurship is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing the unconventional, taking risks, and constantly learning and adapting.
Finding that sweet spot between passion and practicality, creativity and strategy.
Exactly. And it's about building something that aligns with your values and makes a positive impact on the world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And don't forget about those actionable steps. Remember the importance of lead generation, crafting a compelling value proposition, and understanding your target market.
Right. Test your ideas, build a minimum viable product, and refine your offering based on feedback.
And most importantly, take action. Don't just listen to this and think, oh, that's interesting. Ask yourself, what's one small step I can take today to move closer to my entrepreneurial goals?
Maybe it's brainstorming some business ideas, creating a simple scorecard to test a concept, or reaching out to someone in your network for advice. Even a small step can create momentum and set you on the path to success.
So true. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There's an incredible community of entrepreneurs out there, people who've been in your shoes, who've faced challenges and come out stronger on the other side.
Find them, connect with them, learn from them, support each other.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for our deep dive today. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to take action. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep creating.